Welcome to Conscious Conversations with Joan and Janet. Joan and Janet are subtle energy empaths in the field of consciousness. Their passion is to support your evolutionary growth and change. Join them as they talk about our individual and collective evolutions, explore what living consciously with energetic awareness means in our daily lives. Access with them a state of grace. There is no time, no space. Feel the warmth and acceptance and opening into infinite possibilities. Combining a broad collection of modalities and personal experiences, they share with humility and humor their appreciation for the body, mind, spirit connections that we call life. Now, here is Joan Newcomb and Janet Barrett.
Welcome to Conscious Conversations with Joan and Janet. We're your co-hosts. I'm Joan Newcomb, coming to you from Tacoma, Washington, and my partner, Janet Barrett, is coming to you from Portland, Oregon.
Good morning, everyone.
And this is our new time. For those of you that might be tuning into us live, we are now on Tuesday mornings at 11 a.m. Pacific, and that's 2 p.m. Eastern. And I think that is 11 o'clock at night in Spain. But
And we're loving this, okay? So hello to everyone. Hello to our new listeners, maybe. Hello to those who have been looking for us again. We want to welcome you all, and we're looking forward to having great experiences here.
yes. And today we are going to be talking about individually creating within the collective consciousness.
Sounds good. So what we mean there is that we're all individuals sharing this collective experience called consciousness, and we're all consciousness having individual experiences. Is that it? Something like that?
Something like that, yeah, because there's different levels of consciousness.
Yeah.
And, there's different levels of consciousness, different ways to be perceiving our reality. And then also, how are we creating as consciousness in our reality? And there are things that can influence it. There's like the astrological weather, and there's, other quote unquote individuals in this reality with different agendas. It's like, the way I see it, when you're working on that level, it's like driving your car with the intention to go someplace, but you've got everybody else on the road with other intentions of getting places. So how do you handle the traffic?
Got it. Well, it's good to have a centered sense of self, I think, right?
Say that 3 times fast.
Yeah, really. So what we like to do on this show is always make space for heart-centered awareness, that field of unified consciousness, that place where the silence is, where you can hear your authentic voice out of the quiet. And so we're happy to have you with us here. And today we're really going to, let's see what shows up. It's one of those kind of mornings so far. So
very sort of spontaneous, and
totally.
And kind of like the conversations that we have when we're Skyping together, which led us to creating this radio show, because you and I get into some really exciting things, and it's like, I want to share this with the world because there's not enough of us talking about what's really going on.
Right, and it's certainly developing. The whole concept, the whole conversation, not the concept, the conversation about ourselves as consciousness and consciousness technologies and what we mean by all that. So we're really happy and proud to be bringing that information and sharing it with all those out there who kind of have an idea or are new to it or really know, oh yes, they're speaking my voice. So that's where we're at.
And we love hearing from you, so please contribute. You can, if you're listening to this on the podcast, you can email us at consciouswithjoanandjanet@gmail.com. That's consciouswithjoanandjanet@gmail.com. You can email us your ideas. You can also join us on Facebook, Conscious Conversations with Joan and Janet on Facebook, and join the group, join the fun. You can message us that way. And you can follow us on Twitter at Joan and Janet. And all of these ways you can contact us, share in the conversation, add your ideas for things for us to talk about, and we will mention that on the air.
Yeah. Boy, I got interesting things going on in this household. So the world is knocking at my door, it sounds like. So, all right. So we want to let everybody know that we've got different things going on. I have groups here at my home once a week where we drop into heart-centered awareness
In
and
Portland.
play there in Portland on Tuesday nights, and you can do that through Meetup, or you can just check it out on my Janet B at janetandbeyond.com email and ask about questions about that. Joan's got great groups that she's been doing up in the Seattle, Tacoma, Olympia area, so she'll give you those specifics.
So yes, my website is joan-newcomb.com, and you can go to that to find out the different things that I'm doing. I have a meetup page there, and you can find out about the conscious conversations that I'm holding in Tacoma, Seattle, and Olympia right now. The next one is in Tacoma this coming Saturday, November 14th, at the Wheelock Library. And the one after that, I think, is on November 29th, and that's at the Ballard Library in Seattle. So those are the two that are coming up. And the new thing that I'm doing, I'm offering this through Meetup, but I'm doing talks on discovering your purpose and your passion. So when you either discover or rediscover, connect to what your essential purpose is here, because we all come in with an expression in the world, you regain your passion. You're happy when you are being who you are and going through life with a sense of your purpose. So my first talk is going to be in Tacoma, and that is on November 21st at the Forza Coffee on Pearl. They've got a really nice meeting room in the back there. The next one is in Seattle, actually on December 12th. And then I'm going to be doing a teleseminar for those of you who are not in the Puget Sound area. You can call in on December 7th at 2 p.m. Pacific, and I will have all those details on my website. How about you, Janet? If you go to my website, you can also get a quiz on discovering your purpose and passion. But if they go to your website, Janet, can't they get something special?
Yeah, we have 10 top tips for enjoying life. And so if you sign up for both Joan and I have great blogs, and on my website, that blog I write, it comes out on Mondays, and we'll give you the enjoying life. There's 29 points. I'm supposed to just say you'll get the first 10, and then, and then if you want the rest of them, you can talk to me later about that. But I need to let my people know that I've lost my Skype visuals. So maybe that'll make a difference at the break. I may have to dial back in or something. So there we go. I'm sorry, I'm kind of scattered. I just went somewhere. So let me just reorient. Let's get into being here and see what I'm tracking there. Okay, Joan, you better take it away for a few minutes.
I think I think several things happened too. I was coughing, so I actually got off the call when I meant to just mute myself. So you know what? This is that's another great topic for us to broach here too, is about anchoring in the body as a way of centering in form. Because when we get into this consciousness stuff, you can be anywhere at once. You can be floating. We can be in Peru right now. But our bodies are each sitting in.
I think we're
Tacoma
perusing anyways.
We're perusing. So we have just a lot of fun things to talk about regarding individually creating within the collective consciousness. And when we come back from the break, Jen is going to take us into heart space, and we'll tell you all about that wonderful and delightful experience so that we can have an expanded awareness of unified consciousness. Okay. So we have to stop for a commercial break. You've been listening to Conscious Conversations with Joan and Janet, but stay tuned because we'll be talking about individually creating within the collective consciousness in the state of grace.
Well, because consciousness creates with you, everybody. It totally does, and it likes to have
fun. And we'll
fun.
Come back after the commercial break.
Okay.
Are you ready to take a quantum leap in your life? Joan Newcomb is a conscious mastery coach who empowers you to navigate life from your own inner wisdom using energy techniques. Contact her through her website, joan-newcomb.com, and take conscious mastery of your life today. That's joan-newcomb.com.
Would you like a fresh approach to the challenges you're dealing with? Janet Barrett is a subtle energy empath. Feeling the energies present in your myths and language, she offers a supportive, non-judgmental viewpoint. Experience new ways to relate to and release the energies in those stories. Receive a $25 discount on your first session. Email Janet for an appointment at janetb@janetandbeyond.com. Come explore with Janet. New possibilities for a joy-filled life.
You are listening to Conscious Conversations with Joan and Janet. To reach our program, please send questions and comments to consciouswithjoanandjanet@gmail.com. That's consciouswithjoanandjanet@gmail.com. Now, back to Conscious Conversations with Joan and Janet.
Welcome back. You're listening to Conscious Conversations with Joan and Janet, and I'm your host, Joan, along here with Janet, and we are talking about individually creating within the collective consciousness. And Janet wanted to tell you more about heart space.
Okay, everybody. Well, let's see. What can I tell you? I think really what we have to do is just be it. So let's just go for it. And let's see what consciousness is experiencing as you. And so let's just put aside whatever we think we're doing, because we're in our morning hours. This is great. And what you might be doing and getting ready and enjoying life. Okay, there's that thought. Let me get that back. Anchor that in a little better. Okay, everybody, just breathe. Here we go. There is some disorganization out there. So we're just going to let it be disorganized so that it can be. There we go. There we go. Okay, that's feeling different. All right. So the reason we're getting into heart space is because we want to be in our authentic voice. We want to be able to be connected to our sense of consciousness. There we go. Because we act out in the human form all the time, and that self is really important, but we are consciousness choosing to have this experience. And that awareness is where life gets easy, where problems don't become problems, issues aren't issues. Everything is just an expression of life. And that's where we're really looking to be from. So whatever you think something is, it's really not that. That's just you trying to deal with something. So we'll just put that over there. We'll let the deal be over there. So just notice. There we go. And what it'd be like to invite yourself to hear yourself. And how you hear yourself is through the quiet, which might seem contradictory, but it's really not. So as we access heart, we can give it a physical location. That's fine. And then as we access in deeper to the emotional terrain we all inhabit, which is a wonderful thing. Having emotions is just delightful. It's just how you use them, how you organize them. So they are what inspire us and move us to do, to be, to feel, to express, to share. So they are the flavoring of life. So don't judge it, just notice it. There's a lot of chaoticness there. Could be mine, but it's present, so I'll just observe it. It's kind of like the child that cries, but if you don't pay any attention, half the time it was just a shock of some sort. And so there are times when you know to listen and to comfort, but most of the time I don't think As we're a child, we just kind of react. So we just notice. And then go in deeper. The core, the essence. There we go. There. Oh, that's a lovely state of quiet. Now, we always have this conflict. It's really not a conflict, but quiet on airwaves doesn't always work. And they always want us to fill it. And the truth is that it's not in the quiet, there is so much. So we just allow ourselves to hear it, to feel it, to be it. And just feel what rises up that wants a voice. Okay, Joan, what we got?
Well, I was off with Sandra Bullock in Gravity, thinking how space actually has a noise.
Uh-huh.
So you think of space as being utterly silent, but apparently it has a kind of hum. It has a vibration. Mm-hmm. And then I started going, oh, wait a minute. What's that got to do with any topic? And what happens is that when you lead us into heart space, when we drop into heart space, my perspective changes. And so my perspective on the whole topic usually goes right out the window. I don't know. I don't really care because it feels really good here. But
well, we're talking about consciousness and how we're individuals sharing in consciousness. So how you just described what happens for you in your system of experience, and I kind of describe what happens in my experience of it. But here we are collectively in this place, and that's exactly it. And we're all perceiving, experiencing those perceptual biases of what we think our worlds are, all at the same time on multidimensional levels. We are so dynamic. You know that old symbol of the atom, it had the nucleus running around and all that. That's really, what we are, whether the system's appropriate anymore or not. But that is it. It's just all this information flowing on so many different places. And for us, we have no time, space as consciousness. It's just an expanding universe and universes and who we all are. So, but here we are, right? Here we are at our desks talking to each other. So we're holding so many points of awareness at the same time.
So how I would put that is we often say similar things, but we use different words, or there's just a different take on it. Is my message is that we are consciousness. Mm-hmm. So we are consciousness, and consciousness expressing through individual forms. And there's the dichotomy. And this physical world is one of opposites. Consciousness it's even more than just unified consciousness, and it's too limiting to just say it's one. It's everything. Mm-hmm. It's beyond time and space, and that's consciousness, and that's the essence of who you are. And then there's all these different forms, and because that's the opposite of what consciousness is, and that's kind of a fun thing, is to have all these different individuals. So it's not accurate, I don't think, to say, oh, it's all an illusion, because then it disregards the physical reality, which can be shifted and changed in a lot of fun different ways, and we'll probably talk about that coming up, is some different ways to play with reality in this. But I am different from you, Janet. We're like the opposites, and so my perception and my experience of reality and what I am doing to create my reality is different than you. And something I had said a little bit earlier, it's like, when you intend to go do something and you leave your house and you get in your car and you start driving, you have the intention to get from here to there. And that's you creating something in your reality. And there's other people getting in their cars, driving on their freeways, and the intersections make life interesting and can change the outcomes. Maybe there's an accident, so then you have to take a scenic route. So that's how, and so that's also how we are influenced by creating our reality. We're influenced by other people intersecting or having a different time frame or agendas. We can be influenced by physical weather creations. We can be astrological weather creations. There's lots of, there's lots of other music in this world, and your melody can be harmonizing or disharmonizing with things.
Mm-hmm. And we're all agreed that there is some place to be, that there is the road, that there is the intersection, that there is. So there's something bigger than just you and I, right? That is that consciousness that sets that up. And then we're all coming to different places at different times and different,
where I don't
going
agree
different places.
I don't agree that it's something that sets that up outside of ourselves. My identification is that I am consciousness creating this reality, and so.
But that's the shared. That's the shared consciousness.
I
right?
am.
We're all
I
there.
am. I am consciousness.
Right, and I am consciousness.
We are the same consciousness, and we have different individualities having this conversation.
Exactly.
So that's I want how your perspective shifts when you start to create your reality as consciousness instead of as your personality.
Got it. Yep.
Suddenly you are in charge of your reality and your creations. You're not at the mercy of the weather or other people, because your consciousness creating this reality in every moment. And the people come in and out of your hologram as part of that. And they're not real, but they're just other actors in this play. But this is your play that you're experiencing.
Well, and I think maybe one way I might say that would be that if it's actors in a play, they're all shades of me.
Mm-hmm.
So it's me acting as you. It's me, the director. It's me, the whole cast. It's me, the equipment. It's me. And me only in the sense of consciousness, referring to it as that. So it's consciousness expressing itself in all this myriad, in this experience. It's doing. It's very quiet out there. So I just want to notice that where that feels, or what that seems like. It's okay. It's just what it seems like. I don't know that it registers as confusion. It's just quiet. It's kind of like the quiet before something happens.
Well, astrologically, there's a lot of stuff going on.
Oh,
right
right,
now
right.
for that to happen. Tomorrow is a new moon, which is brand new starts. But the thing that's getting everybody excited is it's also 11/11. So those are really magical numbers. And the moon is in Scorpio, so that has some significance for people. And we just have been coming through, I think we're just getting out of a thing that's called a yod, which is a Hebrew, it's kind of a fate, like the fickle figure of fate, but it's a fated time. It's a really, so basically, astrologically, weather-wise, it is a really, and Uranus and Pluto are doing stuff too. So it's a really highly charged time, people having highly sensitive experiences, but it's also a time for us to have some major changes. And I did just read that somebody was one of these astrologer people I love. I'm not an astrologer. I just love the weather. And and they were saying that, something major is going to happen. And that, that could be geophysical or it could be political. So stay tuned. I didn't predict it. Somebody else said it. But you would say, you're tuning in, it feels like something big is going to happen. I do know that in other people's holograms, they've got some dramatic things happening. My husband happens to lives with me, but he works up near Mount Rainier, on the way to Mount Rainier. And there's been a lot of stuff going on in his workplace. And I think about, gee, honey, I hope this doesn't mean Rainier's about to blow, because everybody is experiencing the same tensions. And what can happen collectively in an area is there's a collective tension that goes on, and everybody starts having these really major, intense growth spaces and struggling with these really deep issues. And what I have noticed in the past is when they deal with their interpersonal stuff, then there's not an earthquake. But sometimes there's been predicted earthquakes, and if you deal with your personal stuff, then it just seems to pass us by. But if you don't deal with your inner earthquake, then there is a collective manifestation of an earthquake.
Well, and I think if we're talking metaphorically, earthquakes are a buildup of pressure.
Yes.
Right, in an area. So if we're doing our work, if we're accessing this space, that keeps relieving that. And it's not that it's something that needs to be relieved. What it's doing, it's allowing for flow, because the world is still creating itself. It's not dead. Everything is still active, and it's just at different places with its level of energy. And so as we invite ourselves to make it easy to explore and allow ourselves to not set up these artificial senses of boundaries, either by emotions or thinking, that we just are tapping into that flow. So that's what you're talking about as far as, it makes the earthquake never happens because the energy has been dispersing all along. It hasn't built up. But there is this place where things expand. And sometimes in expansion, it's got to open up what was formed before. And so that can seem kind of cataclysmic, but actually that might be just an easing. I think it's how you frame things.
Yeah, what I was thinking about it is I follow this person on YouTube, Dutch Synth, and he just delights in looking at all the earthquakes and things and volcanoes that have happened around the world. And then he says, based on how these tectonic plates are, moving together, it means that you're going to see some seismic activity in another part of the country. So there's been all sorts of interesting things to the east of Oregon there, to east of Portland, into the I think it's east. So, there's been a series of earthquakes and stuff like that going on over there. And so he looks at it on that level, and really he's kind of looking at on the planet itself, going through its expansion and contraction. And where I was talking about it is how I see it as a collective manifestation. So, each of us, when we're creating as consciousness, and each of us personalities come together, we can create a collective manifestation of stuff going on, like earthquakes. And it doesn't mean it's your fault that you had an earthquake. It's more that, we've collectively come together, because when you look at disasters, often there's amazing things that come out of disasters.
Right.
Seeing everybody come together, everybody, being more compassionate to each other. All those sort of things happen when and that's talking about collectively creating. Individually, you might not be in town that day. You've created a different reality. You didn't go to the Twin Towers that morning. Those sort of things we all within us have the opportunity to individually create differently.
Well, I think one thing I noticed about disasters is that it takes away the stuff, the materialism. It reduces everybody back to what their humanity, and before the humanity developed the stuff. And, something magical happens in that, in a totally, you wouldn't think magical way. But And I make no judgments about any of that. But what comes out of that is how off track so many of us have gotten.
Yes, they're like, this is like a wake-up call.
Yeah, what has become important to us, and we realize it. Now, what it does expose is the undeveloped, or the stunted, or the blissful, or the beautiful. It just exposes the humanity where it is. And sometimes that's rude. You take away the surface protection of the things and of the behaviors, and you're just left with, oh, who am I in here? How prepared am I as an individual with a well-rounded experience of emotions and life and thought? Yeah. Oh, I love this. This is very deep.
It is, I think we are definitely experiencing, an energy shift at it being a different time of day.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to let everyone know is that it doesn't matter when you are listening to this, you are helping to co-create this experience, because as consciousness, there is no time or space. So you could be listening to this live, but you could also be listening to this, anytime in the future. And there's an aspect of you that helped co-create this experience. So it's pretty cool that everybody has come together and just having a nice little break in the cosmic sunshine.
Well, this
nice
is cosmic
little
sunshine.
cup of tea in the sun.
It's pretty gray outside, that's for sure. It's not raining today, but it is gray in the northwest, that's for sure. So, yeah. And a lot of people do catch us at podcasts or on our YouTube channel. Be sure and check that out. That's a nice way to listen to a bunch of shows. So what is it if you could just hear the quiet within yourself? Yeah, now for some reason I have a particular person that's coming to mind, and there's a sense of panic. And so what's beneath that? So just observe it. It's all right.
Do you actually know the person? Or?
Yeah, someone is coming to mind. So we'll just let that be there. And for all of us, whatever our emotional investments seem to be, just let it quiet. There's something under that. What if you knew you were okay? Because this is what we're talking about as consciousness. We know we're okay, and we're just having this setup. So we just go back to that awareness. Oh, yeah, there we go. I think some of us are just finely tuned. I don't even think that. We just resonate at different levels, frequencies, vibrations, and sometimes,
the thing is that more people are becoming more aware, and they don't have the language. You and I have been doing energy stuff for a long time, and even then we've had to upgrade our awareness and our techniques. Mm-hmm. And we've now things have shifted so that every ordinary Joe might be suddenly having extreme telepathic experiences while they are in a business meeting, which would be highly entertaining, I would think. So
yeah. Or not.
Yeah.
Could be distracting.
Yeah, well, that's entertaining and distracting, because suddenly you know what the person is actually thinking when they're what they're saying. See? Yeah, it's so special. So, yeah, interesting stuff.
Well, let's see. What else comes to mind? So we were talking about collective, we were talking about individual, we're talking about different layers of consciousness. All right, so there's definitely the consciousness of Earth that most all of us interact with, whether we're conscious of it or not. But what is it like to feel the rhythm of the Earth? And you can do that in the city. You don't have to be out in nature. You just have to allow yourself to be aware that the city is full of nature. You're standing. You are it. You are the nature in the city, maybe. And there's the tree next to you in the parking lot, and then there's the other person. And so there's nature everywhere. So what would it be like to just feel that? And then how are you noticing that? What does it cause you to do? To be uncomfortable, or to move, or to relax? If you're in the city, you have all those people around you. Are you comfortable with that? Do you put your head down and try to ignore them? How's that working for you? So what it would be like to just feel comfortable in the city? And we're all these intersecting, bisecting lines. Everybody's on a different path, but you're all there. There we go. There, that's feeling better. Or different.
So I just had some ideas of suggestions to folks on how to retain your sense of individuality when you're in a group or when you're in a city.
Okay. And this is the truth that we dance between those awarenesses all the time, don't we, Joan?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you know that you were talking about nature, and sometimes in the city you are the nature, but there's a lot of cities that do have green spaces.
Right.
And being out in nature is a great place to reconnect with the essence of who you are, away from all the static of you know, the concrete world. All right. And you can have a sense of self in any collective area, separate from whatever is going on in the area. And there's different ways to do that depending on, you know, whether you sense things visually, you know, if you see things as colors, if you sense things energetically, like they're like vibrations. You could, you know, there's like higher vibrations, lower vibrations. That's almost audially hearing it as a vibration, but you can feel it. You know, you and I are empathic, and so I will feel things like sort of on an emotional level, and so there's really a combination. But you can, so just playfully, let's say, you know, let's say you're in a, let's say you are at work in a business meeting, or you're at a family gathering, and you're, you know, not enjoying the prevalent atmosphere. You know, the business meeting could be just really heavy and serious, or the family could be just in kind of a gossip, Chris, and whatever. So both of those are vibrations that aren't comfortable to you. So depending on how you look at it, you could be in the business meeting and the prevalent energy could look gray to you, or it could feel like, you know, low vibration, a hum kind of thing. Or you could just sense it as, you know, like you're like glue, you know, you're like wading through glue. So that's the rest of the group, and you can decide that you're in your own bubble and of a different color. So maybe you want to be at yellow or pink or green. So choose a different color from the group, and that shifts your vibration. Or choose a different, you know, a different sound vibration. Maybe you're at a higher, lighter vibration, you know. So that's sort of an audio experience. And emotionally, you could just, you know, you could feel yourself be the quality of water, or the quality of air, you know, or something that's a different. You could be effervescent energetically when everybody else is at that kind of glue level.
And I think what's fun to do with that, Joan, is when you allow it to get bigger than you. You know, so you connect to the person next to you or the person across the table from you, and all of a sudden, okay, there's two of you that are in it. And then what would it be like if there was another person in it, or what would it be like if the whole room was in it? And you can play that way. And
Right. And that's actually the total opposite of what I would do. Completely, because the whole thing about that is for what I was talking about is for you having your own space from the group. And you immediately, because you're a joiner as well, so you immediately was like, well, I'm going to expand my space to include somebody else.
yeah.
So, which can be invasive unless they actually ask for that. And there's a whole different technique for shifting the vibration in a room that's separate from your vibration, so you don't have to use your personal energy sphere. Because otherwise, you can just imagine if you're in a room full of psychopaths, you don't want to expand them in your space. But you may want to have the atmosphere lighter. I don't know. So, see,
Well, I
there's
think it's
real different.
what we're talking about is intention and how to use your skill sets.
Yeah.
So definitely there's that approach that you're talking about is, all right, okay, if you find yourself in a space that you want to have a sense of separateness from, go for it. If you have a sense of space that you want to see how you can change because you don't like what you see happening, do that too.
Right.
So it's how you use your skills. So
that would be different. So yeah, so my whole thing was about how do you have your own sense of self within a group. But if Janet, who is the quintessential healer, and if she was in a circumstance like that, she would feel compelled to change it because it's uncomfortable for everybody. And, comfort is a really high value. And how do we make this more comfortable for everybody? So how you would do that collectively without using your personal space is you could imagine the space, having sunlight coming through it. And that would dissipate that gray energy. You could imagine, angelic voices coming down, and that would shift that lower, baritone hum. You could imagine the space having an effervescent feeling. So suddenly this business meeting becomes a party. Somebody walks in with donuts. So that's another way of shifting the energy of the space, and that's even, we can get into a whole realm about anchoring an area and having personal ownership of an area as well.
Well, I think it's important to understand dynamics, right? So what we're talking about is how we co-create in our environment and what role you want to play in it, and we're all consciousness, and how to tap in at different levels, because we know the power of more than one, and we know the power of a mob, we know the power of a group, we know the power of the individual.
And the individual can have his or her own strength, their own strength, regardless of what the mob is doing.
Exactly, because the individual can change the group.
No, that you can also, yes, that's exactly what Janet was doing with using her personal aura to change the room. And you can stay strong within your own space. That's kind of
aside from the group? Sure.
So, the group can have an angry mob. You can, actually, at the highest of martial art, you can be invisible. You can do that ninja thing where you're invisible walking through the rabid crowd. Right. You can stand in a group of people at a Donald Trump rally and not go insane, or Ben Carson rally. And have your own, and not get lynched, by having your own clear, calm space. And you don't have to change outside you for that.
No, and that's the skill of the martial artist, right? Who uses the energy around him to affect things, as opposed to being affected. There's just all different kinds of ways.
So you're still coming to a different, that martial artist is using the energy around him, and I'm just talking about shifting your own energy regardless of what's going on around you.
Totally.
So you don't have to change the external at all.
Yeah. No, I don't have a problem with that. I'm totally agree with it. And then when I know I'm okay, right? Because that's what we're wanting to know at heart. Am I okay in this environment? Am I okay? Yes. Oh, if I know I'm okay and I allow that to just be, what if all those other people, what if that's what I'm picking up is someone doesn't feel they're okay?
So,
Right.
yeah, and you don't have to do anything.
Don't have to do anything. You just
You can
open
just be
up.
okay. In fact,
Yeah,
you being okay opens permission in the universe for other people
exactly.
to match you and be okay, but that's them matching you, not you expanding your space to, let them match you,
Oh,
or,
okay. Well,
you
there
don't
I
have
would.
to be smothering them with your energy. You can just be your own space, and then somebody else has permission to match you and come up to be light as well.
Huh. All
See,
right.
that's what you weren't getting. You were
No, that's what I was
trying
getting,
to
but
you're
I wouldn't
trying to
think
heal
that
people.
that would not be my approach at all.
No, exactly.
Right. No, but I mean, in holding it that way, okay, it's not going to affect anyone unless it's going to affect someone. So I can be whatever I want. It's not a matter of making them match me. It's not a matter of saving them. It's not a matter of anything. It's just about opening.
Right. Well, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, what I was saying, because all the examples, got to listen to this. All the examples you've given so far have been reaching out and making it different for somebody else, and doing it in a way that sort of encompasses them. And all my suggestions were how to be in your own space, to be different from the group. And then, okay, another way of doing it is to be different also gives permission for other people to be different.
Yeah.
But you don't have to do anything. You don't have to do
No, you just
anything
have to
to
be
their
you, right?
space. You don't have to
Yeah.
do anything to their space.
All right. Well,
Person
I
in the light allows everybody to come up.
right. So as we come back to ourselves and come up to daylight or street light or street
Level.
surface, street level. There we go, everybody. So just notice how you're doing. What a great conversation. Different approaches, different ways to be with ourselves and to be with others, and to share the infinite. And so just bring your awareness back into center. Notice that emotional core there. Oh, and I have bells ringing. Okay, that's great. So just notice that emotional terrain. And then come back to heart, your physical heart. Feel it beat. Be filled with gratitude and gratefulness that it's there, and that it beats another moment, and then another moment, and another moment. And then there's the street. And sometimes we've been told to go hug a tree, and I might suggest you go hug a person.
Unless, you're in a culture that doesn't do that.
Well, you don't have to physically hug them. You could meet them halfway.
So I invite you all to notice that she's brought us up to street level, but you can still retain that wonderful feeling. And we need to go to a commercial break. We need to do that 2 minutes ago, but stay tuned and we'll be back talking more about heart space.
Are you ready to take a quantum leap in your life? Joan Newcomb is a conscious mastery coach who empowers you to navigate life from your own inner wisdom using energy techniques. Contact her through her website, joan-newcomb.com, and take conscious mastery of your life today. That's joan-newcomb.com.
Would you like a fresh approach to the challenges you're dealing with? Janet Barrett is a subtle energy empath. Feeling the energies present in your myths and language, she offers a supportive, non-judgmental viewpoint. Experience new ways to relate to and release the energies in those stories. Receive a $25 discount on your first session. Email Janet for an appointment at janetb@janetandbeyond.com. Come explore with Janet. New possibilities for a joy-filled life.
You are listening to Conscious Conversations with Joan and Janet. To reach our program, please send questions and comments to consciouswithjoanandjanet@gmail.com. That's consciouswithjoanandjanet@gmail.com. Now, back to Conscious Conversations with Joan and Janet.
Welcome back. You're listening to Conscious Conversations with Joan and Janet. I'm your host, and along here with Janet, we have been talking about individual creating within the collective consciousness. We've had a really lovely discussion about that today, and I just want to remind you how to get in touch with us outside of this show. So my website is joan-newcomb.com, and I have a lot of fun things coming up. I am talking about discovering your purpose and passion. You can go to my website to find out where they're happening in the Puget Sound area, in Tacoma and Seattle specifically. And that also, I have a teleseminar coming up, and that is on December 7th. So you'll be able to jump in on that. And then I have meetups in Tacoma and Seattle and Olympia coming up. And Janet has meetups as well. So Janet, what's your website?
That would be at janetandbeyond.com, all spelled out one word. And we've got fun things we're doing there and going to give it a new little look in the next couple of weeks. And be sure and sign up for our blogs, our weekly writings. Joan does it on Friday, and mine comes out on Monday. And we're always commenting on what we're noticing around you. So if you don't hear enough from us on the radio show, it's one way to join in. And we've always got something we want you to take a peek at. And it really, for both Joan and I, it's about being comfortable with experiencing yourself, expressing yourself, if only to yourself. It's not so much the verbal output as it is experiencing the wonder that we each are as consciousness. And we have a delight in the different approaches that we have in our different experiences and backgrounds. And you too, as the listener, have your experiences and your approaches, and you have a broad background of how you articulate and experience information. So we're kind of in this place. Our intention is to always make that an easy journey, that something that you realize the tools that you have and realize the limitations that we each are caught up in as we are spirit in a body, and what that really means for all of us.
Yeah, and that creating as consciousness means that there are no limitations. But within physical reality, there's density and effort. And how do you play within that? It's like, you are, as an individual, you're in your kayak on the river. And rather than trying to control the river, you have the wonderful fun and skill of navigating your kayak. I also want to let folks know how to get in touch with us. I want to let folks know how to get in touch with us as the show in different places. But I keep forgetting to let folks know that I put out videos. I have you do YouTube videos. I have a YouTube channel, but you can also see them on my website. On Tuesday and Thursdays, there's brand new videos where I'm talking about all these different concepts. So there's that. And actually, you can get this show on YouTube now as well. So if you go to Conscious with Joan and Janet, actually, I wonder if it's Conscious with Joan and Janet at gmail.com is our link into our YouTube video. So you can get all the shows on YouTube that way as well. And we're also on Facebook, Conscious with Joan and Janet. Janet Barrett is on Facebook, and Joan Newcomb and Joan Marjorie Newcomb. I'm on Facebook multiple times and ways. The show is on Twitter at Joan and Janet, and I'm on Twitter at Joan Newcomb. I think we're also on Tumblr and a couple of other things too. So lots of different opportunities to connect with us.
The world has changed so much in 5 years, hasn't it? How behaviors and processes and how we stay connected or do something different.
We are trying to be on Instagram. I think I'm on Instagram. I have my college intern working on that.
Great. Yeah. So everyone, it's about looking at your story, and your story is who you think you are and all those experiences, and reformatting it, being able to look at it with fresh eyes from a different perspective, and being open to, I see. Okay. Let me let that go. And then change happens. We're all looking for changes in our life with what we come up against. And it's just a way of reformatting it, reframing it, re-identifying it, and going, oh, I didn't know that was possible. Yes, it is, because that field is full of potential. This space, heart-centered awareness, it's all about potential. And that's the space in between the spaces, which are powerful places to be. So let's see. I think we're coming up on our time here.
We are. We're sliding into home.
All right.
We also just want to remind folks that we do love hearing from you. So connect with us in all those places we were talking about, and also email us at consciouswithjoanandjanet@gmail.com. Any of your questions and topics for us to talk about, because we will take them pretty much anywhere. And and also, that you, just a reminder that you are co-creating with us at this present moment now, because it is always now. So it doesn't matter if you're listening to this 5 years from now, you have helped co-create this in this present moment.
Yeah, there it is. We want to thank you all. It's been a delightful hour.
Thank you. And so tune in to us next week, same time, same channels.
Tuesdays at 11 a.m. You got it.
You've been listening to Conscious Conversations with Joan and Janet. Thanks so much for helping to co-create the show. No matter whether you're tuning in live or listening on demand, you energetically contribute to our collective experience. Joan and Janet love to hear from you and invite you to email your comments and ideas for them to explore each week. Contact them at consciouswithjoanandjanet@gmail.com. Tune in next Wednesday for another great show at 3 p.m. Pacific Time, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, and 10 p.m. UTC.